Here's another proof. So we're given plane M bisects AB, and that PO, segment PO is perpendicular to AB. All right, so I'm going to write those out. So first, plane M bisects segment AB. All right, and that's given. And then the other given is that PO is perpendicular to AB. All right, and that's also given. All right, so let's deal with the bisector first. So the definition of segment bisector is that if a plane, line, or ray bisects a segment, that means it intersects at its midpoint, right? So what we can say is that O is the midpoint of AB. Okay, and that's by definition of segment bisector. Okay, then if that's the case, we can say that AO is congruent to OB. Okay, so AO, segment AO is congruent to segment OB by definition of midpoint. Okay, all right, so now we know that PO is perpendicular to AB, so that's our other given, right? So what does that tell us? That tells us that we have two right angles. So I can say that angle AOP and angle BOP are right angles. And I can say that by definition of perpendicular. Okay, or perpendicular lines if you want. So once we know the right angles, we can say that they're congruent, right? So I can say that angle AOP is congruent to angle BOP, right? And the reason why is because right angles are congruent. Right angles are congruent. And this is theorem 2-4 in the book, by the way. There's not a title for it, so just kind of name what it, or describe what it does. Okay, so now that we've proven that this angle and this angle are congruent, they're right angles and they're congruent, okay, right? So now we just need one other side, right? And one particular side. If we have a side here and this angle, that means we need this other side to be congruent, right? And the same thing in the other triangle. And luckily for us, this side is shared, right? So PO, so for statement 6, we can say that PO, segment PO is congruent to segment PO, right? Or OP if you want. And we can say that by the reflexive property. Of congruence. All right. So let's say that's congruent to itself, right? And now we have side angle side. So now we can say the two triangles are congruent. So now I'm going to use this statement. So triangle POA is congruent with triangle POB. And the reason why is because side angle side. That theorem, okay? And let's just double check. P corresponds with P, of course. O corresponds with O, those are the right angles. And then B corresponds with A, so that all makes sense. So everything is in the right order. And so we just proved that those two triangles are congruent.